What's going on YouTube? Bryce Builds It All here. I am in the barn and I am not working on an airplane today. I'm working on my Mustang. Now, I've already done a little bit of this. I am taking the C4 automatic transmission. Sorry about the shadow, it's just the lighting. It is what it is. I've taken the C4 automatic transmission that was in the car out and I'm putting a T5. The T5 is over on my tailgate. I need to seal that up. I had a stranger from the internet come by to buy the C4 and I didn't feel right about going, hey buddy, do you mind if I shove a camera in your face? So I didn't do that. So what I'm gonna do now, I'll show you real quick. First I'll roll the porch. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'll show you real quick, is I need to take this bearing retainer off of the T5 and I need to put it back together because the seal on the bearing just fell out of it. Isn't that special? Love it. But anyways, I need to seal this up and put it back on, and I also need to seal the tail shaft up and put it back on because this was originally out of a 96 Mustang, which has led to some other issues that I'll cover here in a minute. But yeah, I need to seal this up, put it all back together. I put a Billet input shaft retainer on it, an 86 Fox body input shaft, and I also added a cluster support plate, a Billet cluster support plate from Hanlon Motorsports. So that should mean that this T4 or this T5 is able to handle up to about 400 wheel horsepower. I'm still going to be really easy on the car though. I just kind of use it as a cruiser, and I think I'm only at like 370-ish crank horsepower, so I'm nowhere near that 400 mark. So it should hold up well with the mods that I've done to it. But I'm going to get all this sealed up. I'm not going to show it on camera just because it's tedious and boring. I don't have a good camera angle for it. But after I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and get the engine out. So the hood's going to come off. Take the engine out, I need to clean it up, replace a couple of gaskets that are leaking. I'm gonna paint everything blue. I've got new valve covers for it. I'm gonna paint the headers, put it all back together so that it looks nice and pretty, and then I will put the T5 in it and so on and so forth. So y'all will see all of that. I'll catch up with you in just a minute after I get this sealed. Sorry for any noise. I do have the Portacool running right now. Believe me, it makes a difference. It's about 105 today and I'm in a metal barn, but standing right here, it's probably about 80, 85. If you put cold water in it or if you put some ice, it'll be even cooler than that. But anyways, it's making a huge help. I have it on low right now as not to cause too much of a mess, but I figured I would show you. This is the 5th gear on a T5 if you've never seen it. This is a later T5, so it actually has a reverse lockout. When you put it together, you need to make sure this tab is facing straight up because it fits into this slot right here. And if it's not facing 12 o'clock, it will break off. And if you break it off, you'll lose your reverse lockout, which is not the end of the world. You'll be able to put it in reverse even when you're moving forward. But with that in there, it won't let you put it into reverse if the car is moving forward, from what I understand. But yeah, there you go. It's pretty easy. This is your output shaft. There's your 5th gear. The Billet cluster support, I'll see if I can show it to you, is actually right here. This is what I changed. It was a chintzy little piece of metal. It's what breaks in these T5s. Over about 300, 400 horsepower, from what I understand, from what I've learned, is that when you're in 3rd gear and you're accelerating, so like a drag race situation, once you start braking about that 110, 115 mile an hour threshold, 3rd gear on the counter shaft, not the counter shaft, on the output shaft, has a tendency to sort of walk away because that support isn't very thick. And actually that would be the counter shaft. And 3rd gear grinds all the teeth off in your grenade 3rd gear. So it's easy to fix. You can rebuild the transmission even if it's been grenaded. But this is this. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and seal this. I cleaned all the old residue off of it. I went ahead and hit it with a little bit of brake clean in a rag and just got it all nice and clean so that it will mate. I should probably wipe those fingerprints that I just put off on it back off. But yeah, I'll get this on here. I figured I would show y'all what a T5 looks like, or at least the back of it. Maybe I'll see if I can find a picture of when I had the top plate off of it. I didn't actually replace any of the gears or rebuild it. I just upgraded the cluster support and the input. I will tell you this, the synchros are a pain in the butt, as is shimming everything. You need to shim everything so that you have your proper tolerances in and out on your input shaft and on everything else. So I'll do that and I'll get back with you guys in a second. Okay, so I got the hood off. It is, I'll see if I can show you, right there on top of the car. That's a little bit better. And I got my long tubes off. Now, these are just some really old Hedman long tube headers that I've had for years and years. I'm eventually going to replace them, but I'm going to go ahead and hit them with some muriatic acid or something to get the rust off, and I'm going to hit them with a couple coats of black. I'm not going to show that. I'm going to start working on pulling the engine out. Okay, the wife is on the way back home, so I'm going to call it quits, and I will pick this up in the morning. Of course, y'all aren't going to notice that. It's just going to be darker, and I'm going to be in a different set of clothes. But I went ahead and I got the radiator out. I figured that would help when I get ready to lift the engine. I got to get the struts out next, so I'll probably get those out. I'll label all this. I'll see how hard it is to pull the top of the HEI off. Eventually I'm going to change this distributor. I would like to do a Holley Sniper EFI. It's very expensive, but I don't know. Eventually. Right now I'm just trying to get the T5 in it and some disc brakes in the front of it so I can drive the damn thing. But that's where I'm going to stop. I'll see y'all in the morning. It's the next morning. I have my coffee, I have my protein, I have my water, and I have my phone ready with a playlist of loud and obnoxious music. So I'm going to focus really hard on getting this engine out. I'm not going to show you all everything. I'm just going to tell you what has to be done. You got to get the alternator off and disconnected. I got to get the distributor, at least the cap off. I'm probably not going to take the whole distributor out because it's a pain in the ass at the time. But I got to get that out. I got to get the crossbars off. And then I got to get the hoist in here and connected. And I'm probably going to go ahead and pull it out with the fan, and then I'll disassemble the rest of it once it's on the table. I do also have to get the fuel line off and capped, and I got to get my nice homemade throttle linkage off of here. This is just a piece of all thread with some universals on the end of it. So I'm going to do all of that, and I will show you when I'm ready to pull it. Now, I realize a motorcycle strap is not ideal, but that is a 1,000-pound motorcycle strap, so it should hold. I've decided I'm going to put 2 when I go back in just because it's really snug. But I'm going to go ahead and jack this up, and instead of trying to pull the engine out with the hoist, I'm just going to roll the car back because I think the car will roll easier than the hoist will. Let's see how this goes. So that is going to do it all for this video. I'm still fighting with space and the iPad, so I can only upload so much at a time. Next video, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and paint it, which that's actually going to happen right now for me, next time for you guys. And then I'm going to thoroughly scrub the entire engine bay, clean it, paint some little bits of rust, kind of touch this up and make it look nice again because it's kind of looking kind of tired. If you're curious about my engine, this is a 1974 302 out of a truck. It has GT40 Explorer heads on it that are ported with oversized intake valves and exhaust valves. It has a double roller timing chain and a very high lift cam. I think it's like 520 and like 220 duration or something like that. Stainless valves, yeah. Edelbrock performer intake and long tube headers. I think it crank dynoed after we were done at the engine shop. It crank dynoed at like 365, 370 horsepower. Something like that. It is very hot, and it is very fun. I'm looking forward to having a manual transmission in it, though. I know that through the C4, I was probably losing like a solid 40 to 50 horsepower to the wheel. I've also started making a lot more power since I changed the carburetor. I had a Holley 750 double pump on it, and it was vacuum secondaries. It was just terrible. It made more power at peak RPMs, but it didn't make near as much power down low. So I switched to an Edelbrock AVS2. Highly recommend Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor if that's something you want. It has made the car run so much better, especially at low RPMs. Low end torque is a lot higher, low end power is a lot higher. It's a lot smoother. I don't have to pump near as hard to get it to start. I don't have to choke it near as much to start. I do run avgas in it just to keep it from detonating. So it does run 100 low lead. I don't mix it. I just run straight 100 low lead. I have yet to have a problem with it in many, many years of having a lot of fun. So there you go, everybody. That's going to do it for this video. I will see you all in the next one around when I'm cleaning this up and painting it. I'm just going to clean all the rust off of it, paint it, and put it back in the car. While it's out, I'm going to go ahead and do the separator plate, flywheel, bell housing, clutch. I'll get all that built on the engine, and then I'll lower the engine into the car as one whole assembly. I'm going to try to find a way to lower it down the rest of the way and add a second strap, just because this is very taut. So I don't like that too much. So I'm going to see if there's a way for me to add a second strap. I might just use a second bolt. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you give me a like, give me a follow, comment if it's what brings you joy and happiness in your heart. And as always, go build something and be easy.